rested in meditation. It is not really for you, my child. There's this bantering that has been going on since you rested in your meditation. It is not really the question that is what happens with those who, in your terms, take their own life, or as you would put it, euthanasia. It is not that. Their travels have already been booked. The true question is that why is it that society, that the people who are here now condemn their fellow beings blindly? Because that is what happens. It is those who are around you that choose to condemn others in the name of their God. And what was it that was just read here? They take away the authority of God. God is nature. Am I correct in this assumption?
Yes.
And if God is nature, then what is the role of mankind in nature? You do not know.
What comes to mind is to exist,
To exist,
to learn, to grow, and to pass on.
to learn, to grow, and to pass on. What is nature? Nature is the example for all of you to follow. Humankind makes such a mess of their life, and they do it purposefully. It is not that they seek ways to come together, but that they find ways to separate you from one another, to keep you apart, because all that exists in the human race also exists within nature. Your question on euthanasia, to die with dignity, how many animals have you seen suffer? And in their suffering felt compassion, and in that compassion has sought to purposefully end their suffering. Is this a good thing? Do not expect me to answer for you.
Could you repeat that, please?
When you see the animal suffering, what is your compassion towards it?
To end its suffering.
To end its suffering. Are all of you in agreement?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Why should it be any different for you?
I agree.
Why do you choose to impose suffering upon those around you? If you had an answer for this question, I would be surprised. Because too many of people, too many in humankind, take great pleasure in suffering, not in their own suffering. There are those who take great pleasure in that as well, but in the suffering inflicted upon others. This is not done accidentally. This is not done in mercy. This is done to fulfill their depravity. Why else? Why else would you put your parents through suffering, if not to exact upon them what you believed was exacted upon you? This is what each person is of the opinion of. If it was good enough for them, it is good enough for everyone. And yet, the teachings that have come to you is that what is good for the one is not good for the many. Never has it been good for the many. How many wars have you witnessed? What about those people who died during those wars? The term you used with euthanasia. And what is that term?
It's a medical term.
And what does it mean?
What does it mean? Help me, ladies. I always thought it meant basically to put asleep, to put something asleep, permanently asleep, to stop its heart, and then subsequently its brain.
To put asleep. How many of you sleep at night? How many of you sleep during the day? Does your heart stop while you sleep?
No,
Does your brain stop while you sleep?
no.
Euthanasia is just a nice word for murder. That's all it is. And yet, these great leaders who send these young men out to war, to die, commit murder. And these people who do so in their name commit murder. And who is blamed for it? Do you blame for the murders that are committed during war?
We've been taught to blame the enemy,
No, you've been taught to blame the loser.
the loser. That makes more sense.
In your terms, Adolf Hitler murdered millions. And you praise Winston Churchill. You praise Roosevelt. You praise Stalin. But you condemn Hitler, Mussolini, the emperor. And why do you condemn them? Because they lost. That's all. Is that the honorable thing? Is it the correct thing?
but not to go to war, not to have war.
Correct. However, and this is something that may surprise you, who's the population of this globe presently?
Gosh, I have no idea. I have no idea.
Mr. Falcone knows. It's over 8 billion people on this planet.
Wow.
8 billion people. And how many of those 8 billion people starved to death? How many of those 8 billion people are killed from moving in one place to another because there is some imaginary line there? How many people are killed because someone said so? What is it called when nature kills?
It's called the law of nature.
The law of nature. Obviously, you do not know. When nature kills, it is called plague. When nature kills, it is called earthquake. When nature kills, it is called tornado. And so on. Of the two, humankind and nature, which is more to blame for murder amongst humankind? That is what we are discussing, is it not? Murder?
Yes.
Whether it is self-inflicted or not? What is the difference? What is the difference?
In humanity, it's intentional. In
It
human,
is intentional with nature as well.
Hmm.
However, there's only one time when any kind of killing is acceptable. Do you know when that is?
No.
How many of you enjoy your eggs and sausage in the morning?
Mhm.
How many of you enjoy your meat and potatoes in the evening? How do you get the meat and potatoes, the sausage and eggs? How do you get that? What must happen?
The creature must die.
Must die. Why?
For another one to eat,
To feed.
Why does the other one have to eat?
to exist, live.
To exist. To live. Correct. That is the difference when nature commits murder and humankind commits murder. Because nature always commits murder as a means of survival. Always. Humankind tends to commit murder for personal enjoyment. That is the difference. Nature does not kill for sport, but humankind does. What is war but sport among those who believe themselves to be in power? Am I incorrect?
No.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Now the question comes back to those individuals who murder themselves. Why would someone want to do that? Why would someone want to kill themselves?
They feel
Pain
pain. Well, they're
and suffering.
chronic pain, and they feel that's the only way out. That's the only way to stop the pain.
And specifically, what kind of pain are you referring to?
Oh my gosh, it could be emotional pain, physical pain,
So, is it
mental
pain in general or a specific type of pain that you are referring to?
Um, I guess it'd be trying to describe love, for which we don't have any good words for, 'cause
Yes, you do.
so many different kinds, so there's different kinds of pain as well. I would, and I do think about this, about taking, and I've told my sisters that I will take myself out if something debilitating was happening to me and I could not enjoy my life in that new existence.
Could not enjoy your life. So, you are referring to suffering
Suffering.
that one encounters when they are debilitated. Correct?
That some feel when they are debilitated.
It's got nothing to do with some. You just used yourself as an example.
If I was told I only had so many months to live, I would probably take myself, get all my affairs in a row and take myself out earlier before I got worse.
And why is that?
Because I don't want to suffer. If I put my cats, I have my cats euthanized when they are suffering, so I want to euthanize myself if I get to that point of suffering.
Do you know what tradition teaches in regards to that? And this is very, very interesting, something you may want to pay attention to. Because this is not anything new, nothing new. Traditionally, the debilitated family member would take their life because it was the honorable thing to do. Do you know why it would be the honorable thing to do?
Not to bring shame on their other family members, not to make their other family members suffer.
Shame has nothing to do with it.
No?
You misconstrue the meaning.
Not be a burden to the family in their
That
suffering.
would be an acceptable response. But in all actuality, it would be not to end their suffering, but to end the suffering of their family.
Mm.
and friends. How do you feel when you see someone suffering?
Mhm.
You want to stop their suffering. You suffer along with them.
You suffer along with them. Therefore, the honorable thing is to stop their suffering, not your own. This would make no sense to most people. To murder yourself because you are suffering is selfishness. Does your God reward selfishness?
No.
Do you reward selfishness? You do not reward selfishness. You lash out at those who are selfish. All you have to do is go for a walk and see how people react. You see someone who is selfish, the first thing you want to do is to inflict pain upon them so that they will know what it's like to feel your pain. Am I correct?
Yes.
Now, here's the real question. Which one is at fault? Can you not see? One at fault is the one who perceives the other to be selfish and therefore lashes out at them so that they will feel their pain. That is the truly selfish one. You have a term that is called liberty. Mr. Falcone has been fascinated by this term. And the fascination is that an association with liberty is the ability to live your life without others imposing their lives upon you. And yet, this great philosophical concept is maligned. Because what is it that everybody seeks to do? Impose their version of life upon others. What is it that you speak out against? I find this very amusing. Because you spend so much energy speaking out against instead of doing something. And why do you speak out against? It's because you are abhorred. Because this person is inflicting their version of life upon you, but it's okay for you to inflict your version of life upon another. Who is at fault? I'm a bit harsh in my teachings. That is the way I was when I walked upon this plane. I believe your term is a spade is a spade. I prefer to ensure that there is no way or to reduce the amount of ways that my words and teachings could be misconstrued. It is a hard lesson, but you asked a hard question.
Yes, it is a hard question.
Do you know why people take their lives that are neither to save their family and friends from suffering, or because their mind or their soul is in conflict with the body? Do you know why those people take their lives? Because your society has murdered them.
Mhm.
Why are people marginalized? Do you see anything in nature marginalized? Are there any animals in nature that are marginalized? Are there any plants in nature that are marginalized?
No, I don't think so.
Then why in civilization are humans marginalized? Why do you prune a rose bush?
To encourage new growth.
To encourage new growth. And what happens when civilization starts pruning its branches? Is civilization a natural phenomena?
Well, I recognize Beth's interpretation of pruning to encourage new growth, but some people prune to make it conform to what they want it to be. So I would, that's where I would lean about pruning humanity, is to make it conform to what they want it to be, others want it to be, is kind of more.
Very good. What happens when nature does the pruning? There is new growth.
Mhm, mhm.
Why does nature destroy? It's how nature prunes. The winds that blow through, they take down the weak trees, the dead trees, and in their place, what happens?
New growth.
New growth. That is nature. However, civilization has not matured to the point of self-pruning. Civilization is still locked in the whims of little people.
Mhm.
And while civilization is caught up in the whims of little people, humankind will marginalize those aspects of humankind that it finds abhorrent, in essence, murdering those who do not conform to their particular version of civilization. That is why some people murder themselves.
Hmm.
Consider it like this. You are familiar with the wolf and the coyotes, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
When they hunt in packs. Deer move about in herds. And what is it that the wolves and the coyotes eat?
The slowest member of the herd.
Exactly.
Hmm.
However, if the herd were to isolate a member purposefully, what happens?
That member would succumb to its predators.
The member,
You mean like if the herd shunned one of its own members,
yes,
that member, oh gosh, it'd get eaten?
it would be dead before it could be eaten.
Uh-uh.
Do you know why it would be dead?
Hmm.
It would have no protection?
Not that it would have no protection. It would have no connection.
Hmm.
What is it that you require in your life?
Relationships, connections to others.
Precisely. And
Family.
what happens to you when those connections are severed?
You wither away.
Precisely. And when civilization purposefully marginalizes its people and they take their own lives, they murder themselves. Why do they do that? There are no connections. And when there are no connections, you are dead already. So the lesson with that is, as Mr. Falcone would put it, to be accepted. All that you see within civilization exists out in nature. You want a harmonious society? You have the example. People will die because it is natural. The only time you see wolves fighting wolves is for leadership. However, you do not see packs fighting packs unless they are domesticated animals. And what is it that the domesticated animals are doing? They are mimicking civilization.
Hmm.
It is time to close this lesson. The lesson here that is being imparted is that there is honor in what you would call ritualized sacrifice or euthanasia. There is honor in that. There is inevitability when the body and the soul are in conflict, as this one had put it earlier. There is a middle ground, and when the middle ground comes together, there is expiration. And those who murder themselves because there are no connections or anything, they are not to blame. Society has killed them. They were only the instrument that society used. Yes. Any comments or questions? Then I bid you farewell.
Thank you.
Thank you.